Hello there, how's it going? Welcome back to the show. Thanks for clicking on this one. My name is Pat Dan, and today we are here with our favorite website, r/Reddit gets drawn badly, with subject _dot _ 4128. Tried to be an influencer. We got some beautiful photos here. I tried to take some beach influencer photos in Florida. Do your worst. Edit. Oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much for the kind of... Holy 6.7k upvotes on this bad boy with 628 comments. I'm a little late to the party on this one, it seems, but it was posted 5 days ago, so not too late. We still got time, still got life left in it, this post. These are some pretty fire photos, if I do say so myself. I really appreciate that, like, someone out there on Earth was confident enough in themselves to be willing to post this I don't know, actually, I was gonna say failure, but this doesn't seem like a failure to me. This seems like a great success. If I saw a beach influencer post this, I'd be amazed. So, and I'd be very excited. Oh, sorry. I'd be very happy. Before we jump into it though, I did want to show you a little something I've been ruminating on, something that I've been sitting on, something that's really changed my life. Paper Computer Games, friend of the show, recently did a stream, and I watched it in its entirety. It was 3 hours and 30 minutes of him trying to play this game called Bots, which is a game that his friend had made in 2008, I think he said. So it's like an old, really awful game maker game. And you might be thinking, oh, seems like it's not that hard. Oh, looks pretty simple. Can't take that long to beat, right? Well, as you'll notice, there is this one particular screen that seems to appear for a long time in the stream. You might be scrolling through and you might be saying, oh, wow, seems like he's still on it for a while. Oh, he's still on it. An hour 45, he's still on that screen. It seems like he beats it at about 2 hours. So it was about an hour 30 on a single screen of the game. It seems like an immensely difficult game, and I feel like a challenge has been put forth for me to attempt this game. I don't know. I may or may not potentially attempt it at some point in the future. So be prepared for that to come out. Sorry, for some reason my voice is not cooperating with me today. I haven't been really talking all day, so I guess that probably contributes to it. All right, let's do a little doodle. I hope that I can capture the beauty of this image. I think this is my favorite of the bunch. I do think I'm going to cut off the hands for sure, and probably cut off most of everything that's not the face. I've realized very quickly that whenever I try to do anything that incorporates more than just the face, I get kind of overwhelmed. And I don't really feel like being overwhelmed right now. Like, there are times when I think that is, an okay thing to do, times when I want to stretch my boundaries, do something a little different. I don't think this is one of those times, to be honest with you. I think maybe this is one of those times where we, stick with what we know. Keep it normal, average, and chill. Because I'm not super excited about doing anything too out of the ordinary. I saw, unrelated, just complete switch up here. I did see the movie Toy Story 5 in theaters recently. And I had really bad expectations for it. I'm not even going to lie to you. I went into Toy Story 5 thinking that it was going to be a complete flop. Because I remember hating Toy Story 4. I couldn't tell you what happened in Toy Story 4 because I wiped my memory. As soon as I walked out of the theater after watching Toy Story 4, I grabbed my freaking Men in Black memory wipe laser and I just shined it directly into my eyeballs because I did not want to have anything to do with that. Like, I wanted to get that out of my head and never, ever think about it again. So yeah, I just completely erased that one from the memory, for good reason, I would have to imagine. Like, I don't remember what it was about, obviously, because I erased it, but I would have to imagine if I did something that drastic, it must have been for good reason, right? Like, there's no world in which I just do that willy-nilly for no reason. I have great self control when it comes to using the memory wipe. So I know that only comes out in circumstances of great need. And that was a circumstance that I felt at the time was valid to use the memory wipe machine on myself. So that to me signifies that it was probably a horrible movie. So going into Toy Story 5, I was like, okay, this movie's probably not going to be that great. Like, I remember the other one being pretty bad. So I'm not going to hold my like expectations very high. And I had actually been told by a friend or two that who had watched Toy Story 5 that it was not as bad as I was making it out to be. Like, I in my head I was like, oh, this is going to be horrible. It's going to be like a waste of time, and like it's not even, they shouldn't have even made another sequel. Like, they could have ended it at Toy Story 1, everyone would have been happy, like, you know. But the perspectives that I heard from other people were more so along the lines of, oh, it was actually a pleasantly surprising movie, and I enjoyed the story that it told, and I got a basic kind of rundown of the story. I knew it had to do with technology, and I knew it was like a kind of a dog on screenagers. So I was like, okay, I like that premise. As a screenager myself, and as someone who despises the horrible things that technology has done to us, I'm like, okay, you know what? I believe in this movie. I believe it has potential. So I said, I'll give it a shot. I know I'm not going to like it, but I'll give it a shot anyways, because you got to, you know, go out of your comfort zone every once in a while. If you don't challenge yourself, then you'll never learn new things. So I was like, this is an opportunity, a learning opportunity for me to, you know, figure out what's so great about this movie. Like, why do people actually like it? Because that to me was something I couldn't comprehend. So I got there, started watching it, and I would say immediately within like the first few minutes of the setup, I was pleasantly surprised. Something that I was really worried about going into this movie was that they were just going to kind of butcher the Toy Story characters that I know and love from my childhood, right? Like Toy Story 1, holy crap, I'm sorry, my mouth is not very good at articulating itself today, so just bear with me. Toy Story 1 is, in my opinion, like a goated movie, right? Like, it is monumental, not only for what it is, like as a film, just out of the context of the time it was made, but also as a representation of how, like, it was a, sorry, it was a very important movie for technological advancement, as well as just being a good film, you know, outside of any context of technology, is what I was trying to say. But clearly I'm having trouble with saying words today. But when I got there, I was kind of expecting it to throw all that in the trash can, right? Like, I was thinking they were gonna besmirch the name of Woody, and I was thinking that it was just gonna have no substance and there was gonna be no story whatsoever. So I kind of came ready to laugh at the movie. I was like, okay, this one's gonna be a garbage one. So be ready, get your laugh hat on. Like, pretend that you are Heathcliff and you're putting on a helmet that says laugh on it, you know? Any Heathcliff fans out there, I hope you appreciated the reference. I don't know. But I was like, okay, this is going to be something, and I'm in for a treat. And I was indeed in for a treat, because as soon as they started the exposition, I was like, okay, you know what? They're handling this in a much more eloquent manner than I expected of them. To be honest with you, it was pretty well done. And what really, I think, surprised me the most was how much I felt like this story was a natural progression for the characters that I knew. Like, it didn't feel like this was, oh, we need to make another sequel. Let's figure out something, you know, kind of topical so that people think that we're, you know, presenting something that is not just a complete cash cow, and hopefully they'll think we're trying to say something about modern society, right? Like, that's the impression I got based on the fact that it was about screenagers. I was like, okay, this is just going to be a cash grab, and they're, you know, trying to make it seem like they have something to say, when in reality they're just trying to reach a little bit. However, I quickly realized that this made perfect sense, actually, for the Toy Story characters, and especially the way that they approached it. I was like, oh wow, this is perfect. Like, this is a perfect little storyline, and it is something that reasonably would happen to the toys if they were like living in the modern day. Like this makes sense. Because spoilers, by the way, I'm going to spoil the whole movie basically. I'm expecting to. But basically, they were like fighting against the rise of tech. And I thought it was going to be real corny. I thought it was going to be real lame, and it wasn't going to be super exciting. And it could be like, oh, you know, phones suck, whatever, whatever. They weren't really going to say anything, but they were kind of spitting facts. And it made a lot of sense to me the way that they wrote the characters. It didn't feel like a departure from the characters that I knew, which I was kind of expecting. It felt like they stayed true to like the Woody that I knew, the Buzz that I knew. I mean, I don't know. Buzz, I think he has definitely evolved since the first movie, right? Like he's gone through an evolution, as have all the other characters. But to me, Buzz is the most noticeable when I'm watching the Toy Story 5 movie, thinking about the original Buzz. Like he is definitely matured the most. So, you know, I think there's a little bit of odd feelings that I had with that, but it wasn't bad. Like the feelings that I had towards Buzz's character weren't bad at all. And the feelings I had toward every character were pretty positive. Even the new ones that they introduced, I was pretty happy with the way that they were integrated into the story. And so I did kind of feel like they handled the message of the movie in a pretty solid way. Like it was surprisingly poignant and topical, and it didn't feel like they were, I don't know, just doing it for the sake of continuing the franchise. Like it felt like they actually wanted to say something on this issue and had like at least a couple people in the writer's room who had a passion for, you know, showing people what a healthy relationship with technology looks like in an age where that is very unclear. And that is another thing that I think they did really well, is that they didn't completely villainize tech. Because I kind of went into it with the expectation that, oh, they're just going to dog on phones. And like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. And I do think that phones need to be dogged on, but I do think just taking the easy route and saying, oh, phones suck, blah, 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 this and that. Like that's a cop out for sure to me, to just dog on phones and have no room for gray area. It's just phones are bad and that's it. That would have been the easy way for them to go about that. But they presented it in such a way where it was like, no, actually, you know, like there is a world where technology has, you know, positive effects on the social lives of kids. And it's not entirely negative. And this is how it can help. This is what it looks like to have a relationship with someone that was, you know, positively influenced by the use of technology. And they did that super well between Bonnie and I think Blaze was her name. Cool name, by the way. Very cool name. And I was really happy with that. I really did enjoy it. I think the one part of the movie that I felt was a little not bad. It wasn't bad in any sense of the word. It was just a little what's the word I'm looking for? Distracting, maybe. I think it did feel a little distracting to me, was like the visual style of the movie. Don't get me wrong, the movie looked great and it had its great, like, beautiful moments, right? It did really well at being super cinematic, especially in the opening shots. There were some really beautiful moments where I was like, oh wow, this looks a lot better than I thought. Just the, you know, the color that they used and the composition of some shots were like pretty surprising. I don't know why. Like, obviously at Pixar, they have a budget and they have a team of, you know, people who know how to do film, but I was like, they're going to half-ass it for whatever reason. But no, they actually did a pretty solid job of it. And I think especially near the beginning, I was like, oh wow, this looks really good. But as the movie went on, I felt like it kind of faltered a little bit and it became less artistic and more just like, you know, here's what's happening and we're just going to present it in the easiest way possible rather than having some artistic intention. Not to say that there wasn't artistic intention, like obviously there was, but it felt less intentional as the film went on. I think this most specific thing I can point to that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was just the way the toys looked. And it was very subtle. Like, I don't think it was a super noticeable thing that everyone should be upset about. Like, the toys looked fine for the most part, but they did have a little bit of a uncanny quality to them. And like that, this is the one place where I think making a fifth Toy Story does negatively impact the franchise, because Toy Story itself was formulated because of the limitations of CG animation at the time. And they were like, oh, we want to make a fully animated CG film, which has never been done before. But everything we do looks really, really bad because the technology just wasn't up to par yet. Like, it wasn't prepared to make anything that looked realistic, especially not with humans. So they were like, how can we make a movie that is possible to look okay, and still have characters that like the audience can follow and relate to and build a relationship with? So they landed on toys because they were like, oh, plastic is something, it's a material that is very easy to emulate, and the renders of plastic materials look pretty good because it's like the simplest material they could do. So they were like, okay, we'll make a movie about toys, and it looked great with the limitations of the software that they had and the limitations of the hardware that they had. They did a phenomenal job of making a movie that looked good with primitive CG technology, which is a feat of its own, right? And I think they kind of lost a little bit of that sauce, so to speak, in the new movie, where I kind of felt like they were using their ability to make things look, however they wanted, in a way that I think negatively impacted the design of the characters. For me personally, they felt like, I don't know, the shading on the characters specifically, like the material shading, felt a lot more artificial than the old movies, which is weird to me because maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like when I watched the old movies, they felt pretty good. And I see like screen captures of the old movies and stuff, and they hold up, right? They still look good today. But this Toy Story 5, I feel like they had a very strong departure from the artistic direction of the original because they had the opportunity and the capability of doing that. And I do think that had a negative impact on the final result a little bit. But that's like my main gripe. In general, it's a pretty phenomenal movie, pretty fire film, if I do say so myself. And it was like, I think it was just the right amount of dystopian, right? Like, it was real, and everything that happened in the movie was something that like I saw and I was like, dude, that happens in real life for sure. And like, I know that happens in real life because this is some shit that's happened to me. Like, I feel like I could relate to Bonnie a lot in the movie. Like, I was like, she kind of my goat for real. I don't know, like, she kind of my goat for real. But I personally had like, I didn't really have issues with not having access to tech. Like, as a kid, I had I had parents who were very willing to like give me a phone very young. So that wasn't necessarily an issue. But even with that, I think the effects of technology on socialization still negatively impacted me. Like, I felt so isolated, even though I had the ability to talk to people on my phone. Like, I still felt a little bit outcast because I didn't really like talking to people on the phone, to be honest. And I felt like it was weird, and I was like, I don't know, I don't like it. So I just kind of, it was hard. It was definitely harder for me to make friends, I feel, with modern technology than it would have been if nobody had phones. Like, I feel like if I had grown up like a couple decades earlier, I would have probably had an easier time. Or maybe I wouldn't have. I don't know. That's just speculation. But the way the movie portrayed that struggle for kids, it felt very real to me. And it felt like they did it justice in a very in a very respectful kind of way. It didn't feel like, oh, we're just going to say, you know, whatever is the most polarizing take because we know that it's going to get people to watch our movie. It felt more like they were actually speaking from the heart, and they actually wanted to make a positive impact with this movie, which was cool to see. It was cool to see. So W Film, go out go out and watch it if you get the chance, I guess. I don't want to be some kind of corporate shell here, but I do think, you know, it is a fun movie. So if you get the opportunity, feel free to jump on it. You have my permission. You have my permission. I won't exile you. I know you were waiting for my permission. You were like, "Hey, you sure it's okay if we watch this movie?" Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead, watch it. You know, do your thing, Brody. Do your thing. Okay, we are very, very, very slow working on this portrait here. And I think we've got a good base. The issue is, I think, the better the base, the worse things are going to turn out. Like that's the trend that I typically see in my work is the better the initial, you know, structure looks, the worse it's going to be because that means I've spent too much time on it and I need to be a lot more loose and I'm going to be too precious is I think what's probably going to happen. That's my speculation. So if you skip like a couple minutes ahead in the video and that's what happened, you know, I told you so. I told you so. You can comment. He said it. He said that would happen. The Pat Dan at the 21 minute and 34 second mark, he knew what was up, bro. He said this was going to happen and then it happened. Bro's kind of tapped in with the culture. He's kind of got his finger on the pulse. That's what I want you to say. Please don't, actually. That would be really weird if you said that. It would be cool though. It would be cool. You know, I was while I was in the chat of the Paper Computer Games stream, I found out that King actually has watched all of my videos, which I didn't know. I kind of thought he was like less interested in the MS Paint videos because when I first started them, he seemed off put. Like he was like, "Oh, these aren't good. These are like not edited. They're lame, whatever." But I think he's come around to them. My only fan so far has come around to the MS Paint videos, which is really exciting for me to learn because I didn't know he'd watched all of them just yet. And he's gone through the entire catalog and he was like, "Bro, you got to upload more so I can watch more." And I was like, "This is kind of goated." And now I feel inspired. Now I'm excited. Is the pressure going to get me to fold? Like, am I going to fold under the pressure now that I know people are, or at least now that I know King is interested? I think, you know, maybe. I think that's a possibility. I do. And I hate to say that, but I'm just, you know, hey, I'm just saying it how it is. Okay. I'm not trying to put any negative vibes into the air. I am just speaking my truth is all that's happening. So if negative vibes come with that, it's not intentional. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess, in this case. So yeah. I don't know how I'm going to do this one because the colors on this one feel a lot harder. Like there's so much going on with the water in the background and everything happening here. I'm having trouble distinguishing between the colors on this individual's face. And right now it kind of looks like bad makeup that wasn't blended right. Like she did her makeup really fast this morning and she woke up past her alarm and she's really trying to hide it. Like she doesn't want people to know that she kind of fumbled on the getting ready aspect of her morning today. So she's making weird faces to try and cover up the fact that her makeup looks a little, you know, odd, a little more weird than usual. But everyone knows, like everyone at the office is like, "Oh, she looks like she, you know, she had a rough time, a rough go at it this morning." And for that, they're not going to say anything to her. Like they're going to be extra nice to her today because of what they're witnessing, these facial expressions and just the unblended makeup. Like that is a caricature of someone who is going through something, like maybe she just had a bad breakup, maybe she got some bad news about like a family member or something, like this is a telltale sign of something going wrong. So you want to treat her nicely today. You want to treat her nicely. Also, another thing that Kid King told me while I was in the Paper Computer Game stream chat was that his all-time favorite bit, which I kind of knew because he made a comment about it, but I didn't realize he was this serious about it. His all-time favorite bit is the bit I made about saying anti-hero in math class, which was a joke that I made in the previous video. And he said that's his favorite joke I've ever made of all time. So I've now come to realize that the bar is set very low. Like if that's his favorite, geez, I got a long ways to go. If my fans think that little of me, whew, we've got a little bit to trek before we have officially made it into GOAT territory. We're not quite there yet. We still have some work to do, so to speak. So I'm not exactly going to say I'm the funniest guy ever just yet. We're approaching that level. I think one day very soon we'll be the funniest guy ever. I really, 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 I pride myself on my ability to be a funny guy. At times. I definitely have my moments. Where I feel like I am a funny guy. And sometimes people will tell me like, hey, you're actually really funny. Like people on occasion, not frequently, like this isn't something that happens all the time. Don't get me wrong. This is a very rare occurrence. But this has happened like maybe once or maybe twice where someone went out of their way to tell me, hey, by the way, Pat Dan, you're actually like a pretty funny guy. And I appreciate that about you. And I was like, whoa, wowza bowza. I really didn't think it was true. I really never thought I could make it. I really didn't. And then, for the rest of the week after somebody said that to me, I was like, okay, I'm riding high, and got me a little bit too big for my britches there. I really like that phrase, by the way, if you haven't been able to tell. Got me a little bit too big for my britches. And so I kind of went around making, too many jokes. Got a little too silly with it because I was like, oh, I'm the funny guy, dude. Like, people want to hear my jokes. They don't want to hear my jokes. Most likely that person said that out of pity is what I'm now realizing. And I shouldn't have taken it to heart. Because that was a rough week for me. Dude, everywhere I went, I was trying to spit jokes at people. No one was interested, not a single person, but I really thought I had something. And this was like last week, by the way, for those of you not aware, for those of you who don't see me every day, this was like last week when I was in my Joker phase. I was really the Joker. I was joking it up. And the people, you know what? Here's the crazy thing. And the most unfortunate part about trying to be a funny guy is that if people can tell you're trying to be funny, they're much more likely to laugh. Like if you try and make a joke and people don't realize that it's supposed to be a joke, they are going to give you their real reaction to what they thought of what you just said. But if they know that you're about to drop a joke, they'll pre-prime themselves. They'll be like, all right, I got to make sure he doesn't get upset if I have a bad reaction. So I'm going to make sure that this is the best reaction he's ever gotten to a gut buster, to a gut buster that he utters in a conversation. This is going to be the best audience he's ever seen, the greatest reception of all time. So they're like, okay, I'm preparing my laugh. And then they do a hearty chuckle. And then that makes me think, oh, that must have been the funniest thing ever. It in fact was not, which I realized after repeating it to someone else. And they're like, sorry, bro. Not that great. Like I don't know what you were trying to do there, but you didn't do it. Whatever you're trying to do, you failed miserably. And the people who are willing to tell me that are my goats. Those people are the greatest of all time. If you're willing to tell me and call me out when I've said something that is just simply not funny, I appreciate you. Not necessarily you, because I don't really know you. I don't really know who you are. You could be anyone. You could be someone I actually know in real life. And if you are, then, feel free. I think when it's someone who is close friends with me, then I'm like, yeah, I really appreciate it when they let me know if I'm fumbling. If it's someone I don't know who's just outright saying, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, that one was a shitter. You gotta go back to the drawing board on that one, because that was just not good. Then I'm upset. That if someone I don't know says something like that to me, I am like, okay, so you want to die today. Is what I'm hearing is you have actually a death wish, and I can fulfill that for you. So yeah, that is how I ended up going to federal prison for 20 years. Actually got off pretty easy, 20-year sentence, for capital murder. Not too bad. Not too bad. I'm joking. Obviously, I'm joking. I would never kill someone for telling me that I wasn't funny. What are you talking about? Pretend that I'm like glaring at you menacingly right now. Just pretend that's what I did. Because that's what I was doing to my computer screen, and then I forgot you can't see my face. So a little bit embarrassing. A little bit embarrassing for me, but I get so into it. I get so into the character of Pat Dan that I'll lock in so hard to recording, and I forget that it's not real. It's just a imagined reality that I've put myself in, where I'm funny, or where people want to listen to me, I guess, is more accurate. Because I feel like no matter what, whether I'm Pat Dan or Daniel, like I recognize that I'm not the funniest guy, but I'm working my way up to it. I definitely am working my way up to it. A big part, I think, of being funny, 8 hours of sleep. That's huge. That is huge. If you are well rested, you can think on your feet. That's something that I think most people take for granted. But when you're well rested, you can really come out with some heavy hitters. And then I think another cheat code to humor in casual everyday conversation, callbacks. Callbacks, easy W. People will laugh even if it's not remotely funny in the given context of the conversation, just because they were there and they heard you say that before, or they heard someone else say that before. People love feeling included in something. So if you're like, hey, remember this thing that we did? Remember this thing that somebody said a while ago that was funny? Let me remind you of this thing that someone said a while ago that was funny that we both heard. And then it reminds them that you are both human beings sharing experiences together, making memories. And that in itself is enough to bring them enough joy to laugh, to hit a little giggle, no matter what, no matter how funny it was. So really, if you don't overuse this trick. Hey, I'm telling you this in confidence, and I'm telling you this with the expectation that you will use it wisely, right? If you overuse this trick and make callbacks every sentence, people are going to start hating you, bro. Like I do not want to set false expectations. If you overuse this trick, it will have the exact opposite of your desired effect. But if you use it in moderation, very important, in moderation, and you don't forget to, make sure the other person is in a joking mood before you say something, then you've got the cheat code for sure. You've got the cheat code. And there's nothing that can be done or said about the immense generational run of comedy that you're about to go on. So I welcome you to the club of callbackers. It's a genius tactic, especially if you have just met someone, because making a callback to someone who you not just met, but like are building up your relationship with still, aren't fully up to that best friend status yet. Making a callback to someone who you don't quite know very well makes them feel like, oh, wait, we might be best friends, right? Like we already have an inside joke and it's been like 2 days of getting to know each other. Bro, I'm not going to lie, this guy might be my best friend of all time because I do not have that many inside. Like people don't have that many inside jokes typically. Inside jokes is not something that happens naturally. Usually you kind of have to force it. And if one of you isn't capable of forcing it, it's never going to happen. So really you got to take that initiative and say, hey, I'm willing to look like a fool if it needs to be done. Let me make an inside joke for you, hon. How to make that rhyme, because it felt like it was, felt like it needed something to really make it pop there. I don't know if this is good enough to call done, this drawing, but I do know that we're running out of time fast. And we have already, I would say, run out of time. I do need to do an eyelash though. That much I think is crucial. Otherwise, it will look really awful. So let's do that. And I do feel like it's not that bad. And yeah, I mean, if you've enjoyed a little chat, feel free to drop a like and share any thoughts you may have in the comments down below. Thank you so very much for your time. I've been Pat Dan. You've been great. Until next time, kick rocks, pal. Make sure you get outside today. Bye-bye.